And away we go. It is the Nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken. www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Get the app. Go to the app. They will deliver right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or make it down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off of all the Galactic goodness. Tendies, fried chicken, fries, coleslaw, fried pickles, you name it. And, of course, the Galactic sauce. All right, let's get to it. We normally on Tuesday nights do Talking About Talkin'. And we could do Talking About Talkin' tonight. But
I watched.
Okay. I mean, if you want to get to some of it, you can. I'm going to move you into the driver's seat here in a minute.
I imagine most of the questions are questions I would have in this setting anyway. So
right. So instead, Keegan and I got to take in practice today. A little bit of scrimmage action for probably the better part of a little over half of the practice was scrimmage. So I am going to move Aaron into the driver's seat and have him drive the bus here as we talk about the scrimmages. What I will say initially, they did basically 3 different 12-minute scrimmages, and then they had an add-on segment at the end of each one for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, I think.
Did they have 3 different teams, or was it 2 different teams?
No, it's 3. So they change teams every game. Okay. So I actually have
the lineups
here. The first game, it was Day, CJ, John Newman, Vic, Aziz with Josh Reed coming off the bench for that team. That would, if I had to guess, be very close to my predicted starting lineup if the season were to start today. And then the other team had, go ahead.
If everyone clears waivers, yeah.
Right. If the roster is what it is today, it would be that. And then the other, the second unit, essentially, I guess, Jizzle, Dan Skilling, Seamoss, Odie, Jameel, and then Ray and Sage coming off the bench for that team. The first team, the team that I said I think would be the starters, Day, CJ, John Newman, Vic, and Aziz, they dominated that game, 25-10. It was a bloodbath. Keegan, it almost felt like they didn't score 10 for the black team in that game.
Yeah, and it was dominant, and you could tell a lot of those guys had veteran presence, and there was a lot of mistakes that the other teams made that they just didn't make. It was taking care of the ball, running the floor. I think there's definitely still some growing pains at the point guard position, especially with Day, who's coming in off a little bit of junior college experience, then Jizzle as the true freshman. But yeah, that 5, it was really good. They made a lot of plays, and like you said, they were really dominant.
Day gets to the basket in a blur, man.
Yeah.
Half court, full court. When he gets a little bit of a lane to the basket, next thing you know, it's going up off the backboard and in. And then Jizzle, I will say this for Jizzle today. The first 2 games, he was frustrated. A bunch of stuff close to the rim that he makes 90% of the time was going in and out on him. And Wes got on him. You could visibly tell that he was letting that stuff impact the rest of his play. To his credit, by the 3rd game, he was outstanding in the 3rd game and hit kind of the dagger.
A dagger 3, yeah.
Yeah, they were up 1 with 10 seconds left.
20-19, there was a 4-second differential between the shot and game clock. And there was probably about 8 seconds left, and he just downed a 3, and it gave him a 4-point lead, and that was basically it. So he was playing really confidently in the shots that he wasn't making in the first 2 games. He saved for, I think it was the last 4 minutes.
Right at the end of the 3rd game, he exploded.
Yeah.
How'd the Aziz Reynolds matchup look?
Ooh, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I think the Aziz matchup of the day was with the rim. I don't know if it was with Jameel, because every single time they had an opportunity to throw a lob to him, it was just like throw it 30 in like a 30 feet radius of where he is, and he's just gonna find it somewhere and down it.
Literally, Aaron, 2 of the alley-oops, the first 2, looked like they were going into orbit. Like they were so bad. They were so bad. Like alley-oops that we've seen this program throw for years, because this has never been a good like throw it up and go get it team.
I agree.
And like they looked so bad. And then Aziz just out of nowhere, like dunk.
He dulcimed it like that character from Street Fighter where his arms just keep going.
Go gadget arms, or like Space Jam, like that's
Michael Jordan,
what it looked like. I mean, it just like it's like he went up forever. And like it had all of us. We were in the loge boxes, like right outside the Champions Club, like scattered amongst the 4 loge boxes, and like everybody's turning heads to each other. Like I don't think that there's been anybody like that in this program since Kenyon. That just
probably not.
Like there was no limit on how high you could throw it, and Aziz is going to go get it. Actually, in the 3rd game, CJ threw one like a normal alley-oop, and it was discombobulated. And the coaches kind of told him afterwards, like, bro, just you don't have to be perfect. Like you do not have to lob it at the rim. You just throw it in the vicinity of the backboard.
Yeah. The longer he can extend his arms, the better.
It sounds like you should almost just take the shot, and just if you're not going to make the shot, maybe he just comes up.
No, don't take the shot, because that's too close to the rim. No, that's everybody's around there. Like everybody anticipates there. I'm telling you, Aaron. Like I swear to God, those first 2 alley-oops were so bad. They were.
So he really is an alien.
It's unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah. They need to just do the Carlton, like from half court, just chuck it like to the back wall.
All of a sudden, it's easy. Like,
The last question on this matchup: how did John Newman look? As we haven't really seen much of him in the last couple seasons now.
I thought he was pretty good early. He had a really good cut to the basket and finish. It felt like maybe you can, and from some of the coaching Wes was doing, it felt like there was a focus today on getting downhill, attacking. They didn't shoot a ton of threes. And it felt like today, at least, that was kind of, and this is their first scrimmage. They still have 34 more days to go where other things are, but it felt like the focus today was getting the guy with the ball downhill and either, just playing off of that in whatever way, be it an alley-oop or a finish or a kick out. But I thought John looked good. The thing about John is he's going to defend his butt off. Like he's going to be a guy you don't notice a ton, but it's like an offensive lineman. Like,
I just want to make sure he was moving laterally well.
No, he looked great.
Okay.
He looked great. Like his finish was one of the better finishes of the day in that first game, where he just kind of was coming from the left side. I think coming from the left side, sliced right through the lane, and just like all of a sudden he was on the other side of the rim laying it up. So he looked good.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to go on with the next matchup, I didn't want to spend too much time on the first matchup as we're already 9 minutes into this.
I mean, it is what it is. Second game, white team. This was interesting. Day and Jizzle on the white team for game 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very much an athletic team versus a big physical team. So
this is more like what it would look like going small, you would imagine. Day, Jizzle, Dan, John Newman, and Odie is the 5 in that matchup, which meant the other team had Vic, Aziz, and Jamil. CJ, Frederick, Rayvon, Seamoss, who played point guard for that entire game.
Point forward,
Vic, Aziz, and Jamil. And the white team with the smaller team, 25-16 victory.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Like they can get up and down the floor.
Right.
Like really get up and down.
That's a very fast team by comparison.
Yeah.
That was the game Rayvon kind of popped a little bit.
Early. Ray had a
Rayvon
great
made some
slice
plays.
to the rim and scored. And then Seamas got a steal. Was that right? Seamas got a steal on the left side, kicked it out to Ray. The defense got back, and Ray kind of did like a nice little Euro step to avoid the defender and laid it in.
And then I think a couple possessions later, he hit a 3, and it was like a straight line drive buried at 3.
I mean, he's got to get a little more art than that.
Yeah.
But it went straight in.
Yeah.
We'll give him that. But yeah, that was – I'm surprised the other team, and I'm guessing this is like how much of things have been installed at this point. Like we didn't see – you would think if you have a team with Vic, Jamil, Aziz, that you're gonna pound it inside. And we didn't see a lot of that in that game. Not as much as I thought, at least. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the main focus today, and I think Wes called it out multiple times, was finding the best possible shot that you can get. So that he didn't really want them settling for mid-range jumpers because he said, look, that's what our defense allows because it's a low percentage shot. So I think the focus was getting it inside, as Chad said, but also just making sure you get the best possible shot.
I guess in that matchup, did Ray look like a true freshman out there?
Not that one.
No.
I thought he defended pretty well. I thought he moved his feet. Like I didn't see him really get beat at any point in time.
So just taking a step back by comparison with how Dan looked his first year.
Not even close.
Okay.
But that's not Dan's fault. Dan
and I understand that, and I knew the answer before I even asked that question. This is more for people who are curious as to how much further along Ray is than Dan last year.
Yeah, I mean, by the time Dan started playing basketball, Ray had already been playing basketball for like a decade. Yeah. So there's just some, that's just reality. Like there's just some things that with Dan, but we'll get to it. We're getting there. There's some things with Dan when he got here that just were going to take time. I mean, we might as well just go there because it was the second game that it started to happen. Dan Skillings was the best player in the gym today.
Yeah.
Like, Aziz could maybe put up an argument because of the ridiculousness of the dunks. And then he did have a block on Dan that looked like a volleyball spike almost, where Dan had beaten the defense a bunch with his first step, get to the left side, and then put it up off the glass. And Dan's defender was still on him. Dan went to put it up off the glass, and Aziz just, come on!
Yeah.
Like
Chad said, Dan tried that move one too many times.
One too many times. But Dan was outstanding.
Yeah. I think he led in deflections. I think that's what it was.
Led in deflections, steals. Like he was active in the passing lanes. He really finished well. And his first step, like now that he's getting stronger, that first step is going to be deadly over the next couple of years.
He looks
because
big.
He can take the bump now. Yeah, he can take the bump now.
And Wes said, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, was most of his game finesse where he's laying it up and reverse and jump shots down low, or was he taking it home and powering it in?
No, he was going against set defense, hitting tough shots, like
a very large defense as well.
And he hit a three, right? And he hit a three. But yeah, he was very good today.
Yeah.
What were you going to add, Keegan?
I was just going to say Wes and the presser said the best thing about
freshmen.
The best thing that can happen is the best thing about freshmen is that they become sophomores. So like everything that Dan has learned is just trial by fire, and I think the veteran attitude that he can carry into this season can obviously set an example for Rayvon, who plays a similar position, similar game. And I think Wes said, like, look, Rayvon, if you want to be a sophomore this year, you can. Like, you just have to do the things that are necessary to be a sophomore.
Now, this we kind of gave away this third game, but this one might surprise you a little. The white team was Day, Skillings, Seamoss, Odie, Jamil, John, Newman, and Vic. Against Jizzle, CJ, Ray, Josh, Aziz, and Sage, and CJ Anthony.
Okay.
So you would think logic would say the white team would win that one. I would think.
Probably.
But it was the black team. And Jizzle hit the big three that Keegan talked about with like 8 seconds left to go up 4 and kind of put the game away. But did they hit a 3? Did it end up 24-23, I think?
Yeah, I know it was
20.
No, it was 2 free throws.
Okay.
Because there was a foul down low that the coaches were kind of upset about. But
my immediate question is, this is the first time I think you've mentioned his name, but how did Sage look?
He's got to get stronger. He runs the floor well. Like, he's got some skill, but he's playing against grown-ass men. Like, grown-ass men, and he is not he doesn't have the base to really absorb playing against those guys yet.
Okay.
Would you agree, Keegan?
Yes, very much so.
I like some of what there is to work with Sage, but
I feel like he knows what he's doing and he knows both ends of the floor what Wes wants done, and he plays super hard. But it's just the physical part that you talked about. I think getting size and being able to compete with those guys from a strength perspective will obviously serve him well. Which that's what I was gonna add, because you asked me about Jamil and Aziz first. Like, Jamil lost 45 pounds. When you stand those two up next to each other, you can't really tell a difference. So if you're thinking Aziz is like this tall, huge guy, Jamil is right there. Like, right there. Wow. So
Jamil, like I said when he got here, Jamil's 6'11 and a half.
Yeah, and I knew we all knew he was tall. I'm just surprised.
I didn't know he was that tall when the first time I saw him. I thought he was like 6'9", 6'10". Like, that's what I remembered from him the past couple years, that he was big, but he was like, I don't know, in my mind, he was like 6'9", 6'10". Those extra couple inches that get you into that 7-foot range, it is visibly different. When you're like, when you see a 7-footer and there's somebody that's like that with him, you're like, oh, I didn't think he was that much of an aircraft carrier.
So a couple questions I have then. Seamoss, it sounds like he's a utility player, can play damn near every position 1 through 4.
Yeah. I wouldn't want him at the 5, but yeah, he's gonna play the 1, the 3, and the 4 here. I don't think he'll play much 2.
A little out of
shoots confidently. That was my takeaway. Yeah. Shoots very confidently, just like Frederick.
He's good with the ball. He passed it well. You can tell he understands offense, which is why they're talking about potentially using him as like a point forward or whatever.
Yeah. He had the no look on the baseline, right?
Yeah.
That was a really, really good pass.
How did Odie fare against these bigs, as he's, in your head anyway, kind of the smallest of?
There's no
of the 5.
Well, the other 4 are 7 feet tall.
Right. Well, I just mean, if we're going to have to play him any minutes at the 5, how did he fare against other 5s?
He didn't play a ton of 5. I did think there was one game with Vic where he was the 5, Vic was the 4, like they did last year.
Yeah.
And he's fine. It depends on the type of 5 you play.
Sure.
Like a 5 like Jamil is going to give him fits.
Makes sense.
Because he's a monster. But if it's a smaller, not small, but like a more athletic, more mobile guy, Odie's almost perfect for that spot, because he's just as athletic, can run, can jump, can do all that stuff. So I'm not terribly worried if Odie had to play the 5. I mean, obviously, when you have essentially 4 7-footers or 4 guys 6'11" or bigger, you would like one of those 4 to play the 5. But again, we're in a situation where who the hell knows?
do you feel like they're playing a 2 guards, 2 wings, and a center? Like, do you feel like that's where they're going to try and go with this, or do you think they're going to go the traditional one, one, two?
If they have a season Jamil, they're going to play 2 bigs a lot.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is more for guys like Array, guys like Josh Reed. Where are they going to fit in this lineup?
If they have 2 bigs on the floor, then it's going to be difficult to find minutes because, if you have to go small, your wings are stepping down and that opens up more minutes in other places. If you're playing 2 bigs, 25, 30 minutes a game, which is probably what will happen if both get the waiver. Even if one gets the waiver, I would imagine some combination of
Vic and
everyone gets it, Vic and Odie and Sage kind of at the back end of that. There's not going to be a ton of minutes for extra wing minutes because
guys like
down to play the 4.
So, and again, just trying to figure out, are you going to find it Josh Reed or Ray in any type of competitive minutes early on? Probably not.
Early on, probably. That's
okay. Fair.
As we get to Big 12 play, they're going to have to earn it. Now, Ray was really good today. And I've seen days where Josh has been really good. The key for both of those two, consistency. Because the older guys are going to be more consistent.
Yep.
In order to get up there and earn that trust, you better be out there every day. You can't, I was good on Monday and Thursday, but I stunk on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're not going to trust you.
The only guy that we haven't talked about, I think, at this point is CJ Frederick. And if we're all kind of assuming he's going to be the starting 2. But how did he look today?
Good.
He had a big 3 in the first game. They had a segment where Day got downhill. Did he get a steal and then kind of knifed through traffic, got a quick layup, and then as they were inbounding the ball, they kind of forgot about him.
Yeah.
Boom. He stuck back, stole it, and kicked it for a dunk.
So he does possess the slasher arsenal in his tool bag.
Day? Or CJ?
No, CJ.
No. I mean, no, he hit him for a 3. Day got the steal, off the inbound, kicked it to CJ, and he banged it through.
Yeah, I saw there was one where they were coming in transition, I think, off a turnover, and he just did the typical kind of stop before the 3-point line, shoot it while still moving, and just drained it. So I think that's the kind of play I look for in a spot up shooter, someone that he's going to make most of the shots he takes is that transition 3. And if he can do that, I think he can do a lot in this offense.
So this is talking knowing CJ and his game and the situations he's been in. The consensus is he is a better player the better the talent level he's around is on. If you're really, really talented, he's at his best because he can play off of guys. He again understands offense, knows how to move the ball, and if the ball is moving, it's going to find him open because everybody else also has to be accounted for. Where he would struggle is in a system where he has to be 1A, 1B because he doesn't, he's not a massive, he's a better passer than you realize, but he's not a guy that plays a ton off the bounce. He doesn't have the ball in his hands much. So he's at his best when other guys are, drawing defense, and then he can kind of be that outlet valve or, that instant offense type on the perimeter.
Well, I have one last question then, and I won't ask Chad this because Brent might get mad because he wants to do this whole basketball show on Monday next week. But, Keegan, if you had to name your starting 5 right now, who would it be?
Vic, John Newman, Aziz, Day, and CJ.
in no particular order, clearly.
No, I think you can. Do you want the order?
No,
Day-Day?
it's fine.
I think you can delineate who would be playing where.
He was confused for a second. He
Well,
was doing it in his head, going 4, 2.
I didn't know if he was starting. I didn't know if he was starting Vic at the 5, and I'm like, what? All right,
no.
Got two guys to pick from, and you went way off the map.
He went 4, 2, 5, 1, 3.
Picked them out of a hat.
I was filling holes as I thought of the names. That's what I was doing.
All right, there you go. People want to know what happened to practice today. 25 minutes of it, 26 minutes of it. We'll see you next time. That's the nightcap. Thanks, Keegan. Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.